Ever wonder what really happened to the faces behind the biggest space adventure ever made? Picture a scrappy farm boy, a princess who could outtalk anyone in the room, and a smuggler who never met a rule he liked. Together they took on an empire and changed movies forever. But behind that legend, some of these actors are gone, some vanished from fame completely, and one of them made a career jump so wild you will not believe it. Stick around, because you need to know who. Number 1, we have a man who could destroy a planet without ever raising his voice. Cold, calm, and terrifying in a quiet way. This actor made villainy feel like good manners. That was Peter Cushing, born in 1913 in England, who was 63 when he played Grand Moff Tarkin. He was already a horror legend from the Hammer Films days, known for playing Baron Frankenstein and Van Helsing with icy precision. He died in 1994 at 81, after a battle with prostate cancer. Cushing did not need to shout to be scary, he just needed to smile, and that is exactly why Tarkin still gives people chills. Number 2, we have a performer who spent nearly 50 years trapped inside gold armor, and somehow made you fall in love with him anyway. That is Anthony Daniels, born in 1946 in England, who was 31 when he became C-3PO. He is the only actor to appear in every single Skywalker saga film, plus games, books, and fan events for decades. As of 2026, he is 80 years old and still shows up for fans. Daniels turned a nervous robot into one of the most human characters in the whole galaxy, and honestly, you probably related to C-3PO more than you admit. Number 3, we have the guy who made trouble look like a lifestyle choice. Cocky, fast-talking, and always one step ahead. This actor became a movie star overnight. Harrison Ford was 34 when he played Han Solo, born back in 1942 in Chicago. He went on to lead the Indiana Jones movies, earned an Oscar nomination for Witness, and picked up a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Actors Guild in 2026. He is 84 years old now, and he still carries that same "don't mess with me" energy. Han Solo worked because underneath all the swagger, Ford let you see a man who was scared to care about anyone, and that is why you never stopped rooting for him. Number 4, we have an actor who was already a legend before he ever stepped foot in the desert. Calm, mysterious, and carrying decades of prestige with him, he gave one scene enough weight to hold up an entire mythology. That was Alec Guinness, born in 1914 in London, who was 63 when he played Obi-Wan Kenobi. He had already won an Academy Award for The Bridge on the River Kwai. He died in the year 2000 at age 86, with liver cancer widely reported as the cause. Guinness made an old man in a robe feel like the last piece of a forgotten history, and that quiet sadness in his eyes is something you still feel every time you watch him. Number 5, we have someone who never spoke a single line of English on screen, and still became one of the most beloved characters ever made. Towering, loyal, and impossible to ignore, this performer turned a costume into a soul. Peter Mayhew was 33 when he first played Chewbacca, born in 1944 in London. He kept coming back to the role across decades of films and fan conventions, always warm with the people who loved him. He died in 2019 at age 74, after suffering a heart attack. Nearly 50 years after that first film, and fans still say his name feels like family, which tells you everything about how much Mayhew put into that suit. Now quick pause, because it is worth saying out loud. This film came out almost 50 years ago, half a century. Some of these actors were younger than you when they made it, and that alone should make you appreciate this cast even more. If you are enjoying this walk down memory lane, hit subscribe, because we drop new stories like this every 2 days. Number 6, we have a performer barely over 4 feet tall, who somehow filled the screen with more personality than most leading men. Small, stubborn, and strangely brave, he became a hero without ever saying a real word. Kenny Baker was 42 when he played R2-D2, born in 1934 in England. He returned as the droid across the original trilogy and the prequels, and also popped up in films like Time Bandits and Labyrinth. He died in 2016 at age 81 after a long illness. Baker proved you do not need dialogue to break someone's heart, just good timing and a few well-placed beeps. Number 7, we have a bodybuilding champion who became one of cinema's most feared figures without anyone ever hearing his real voice. Towering, armored, and terrifying just from the way he walked, this man defined a villain from the neck down. David Prowse was 41 when he played Darth Vader's physical form, born in 1935 in Bristol, and back home in Britain, he was already famous as the Green Cross Code Man teaching kids road safety. He died in 2020 at age 85, after a short illness. Prowse gave Vader his size and his menace, and honestly, half the fear in that character came from a man you probably never even realized was under the mask. Number 8, we have an actor whose whole job was to look worried about a boy who dreamed too big. Practical, guarded, and hardened by years of desert life, He played the kind of relative who loves you by trying to keep you safe and small. Phil Brown was 61 when he played Uncle Owen, born in 1916 in Massachusetts. He spent decades working across stage, film, and television, including years in Britain after being blacklisted in Hollywood. He died in 2006 at age 89 after pneumonia. Brown never got a flashy scene, but every time he told Luke to stay on the farm, you felt exactly how much that house was holding him back. Number 9, we have a man who delivered one line that fans still quote before every big mission in real life. Calm, strategic, and carrying the weight of an entire rebellion on his shoulders, he set the whole final battle in motion. Alex McCrindle was 65 when he played General Dodonna, born in 1911 in Scotland. He spent decades as a steady, respected character actor across British stage and radio. He died in 1990 at age 78, with the cause not widely reported. Dodonna is the one who says, "May the force be with you" before the trench run, and McCrindle made it sound less like a movie line and more like a prayer. Number 10, we have a rebel pilot who actually survived the impossible, which almost never happens in this story. Focused, brave, and refreshingly not full of himself, he became one of the few faces you see across the whole trilogy without dying once. That is Dennis Lawson, born in 1947 in Scotland, who was 29 when he played Wedge Antilles. He built a strong career in British television and film, including Local Hero and Bleak House. As of 2026, he is 78 years old, living a much quieter life than his X-Wing fame suggests. You root for Wedge because he is the ordinary guy who keeps coming back, and somehow that makes him just as unforgettable as any hero with a lightsaber. Number 11, we have someone whose character barely gets 10 minutes of screen time, but whose death changes how you feel about the entire final battle. Loyal, doomed, and tied to Luke's life before any of this started, he made the war feel personal. Garrick Hagan was 37 when he played Biggs Darklighter, born in 1939 in London. He kept working for decades across film, television, and voice work, including Doctor Who. As of 2026, he is 86 years old, still remembered fondly for that brief but powerful role. Biggs proves that you do not need a big part to matter, you just need to remind the audience that victory always costs something real. Number 12. And this is the one you need to lean in for. What if I told you the most terrifying voice in movie history belonged to a man who used to stutter so badly as a kid that he barely spoke at all? Deep, thunderous, and almost otherworldly, his voice alone turned a man in armor into a legend. James Earl Jones was 46 when he gave Darth Vader his voice, born in 1931 in Mississippi. He became one of the greatest voices in film history, also known as Mufasa in The Lion King, with Tony winning work on stage. He died in 2024 at age 93, with the cause not made public. That kid who could barely get a sentence out grew up to voice the most feared villain in movie history, and if that is not the wildest full-circle story in this whole list, nothing is. Number 13, we have a woman who only needed a handful of scenes to make a desert planet feel like home. Warm, practical, and quietly protective, she gave Luke something worth missing once he left it all behind. Shelagh Fraser was 56 when she played Aunt Beru, born in 1920 in England. She had a long career in British theatre, television, and radio, later appearing in Midsummer Murders. She died in the year 2000 at age 79, after a long illness. Fraser is barely on screen, but she made you understand exactly what Luke was walking away from, and that is harder to pull off than it sounds. Quick reminder again, because it matters. We are talking about people who filmed this before most of your parents were even out of school. Some of these actors have now been gone for over 20 years, and the film is still just getting started for new fans every single day. If a name on this list caught you off guard, drop it in the comments, because I want to know which one. Number 14, we have a small, quick performer who spent his career hiding inside creatures most people never even think about. Strange, scrappy, and full of odd little energy, he helped build a corner of this galaxy that felt handmade and lived in. Jack Purvis was 39 when he played the Chief Jawa, born in 1937 in London. He kept appearing across the trilogy in different roles and later worked in fantasy films like Time Bandits and The Dark Crystal. He died in 1997 at age 60, after years of serious health struggles following a car accident. Purvis never got recognition, but every strange little creature moment that made this galaxy feel alive probably had his fingerprints on it. Number 15, we have a disciplined pilot who led men into a battle most of them would not walk away from. Steady, serious, and carrying real weight in his voice, he made the final attack feel like an actual military mission instead of a fantasy. Drew Henley was 36 when he played Red Leader, born in 1940 in England. He worked steadily in British television, and his footage from this role was later reused decades afterward in Rogue One. He died in 2016 at age 75, after choking while in hospital. Henley flew in knowing the odds were terrible, and he made you believe every second of it. Number 16, we have a young pilot thrown straight into the chaos with barely a moment to think. Focused, nervous, and surrounded by noise and fire, he was just one face in a crowded cockpit fighting for his life. Jack Claff was 25 when he played Red 4, born in 1951 in South Africa. He later became an actor, writer, director, and academic, working across radio, theater, and teaching. As of 2026, he is 75 years old, having spent much of his life more focused on writing and education than blockbuster fame. Claff reminds you that this victory never belonged to one hero. It belonged to a whole squadron of people who might not make it home. Number 17. And here is one you might already know without realizing it. What if the most quoted line in the entire trench run battle came from an actor whose scene lasted less than 30 seconds? Bold, heavy-set, and instantly recognizable, he became a cult favorite from almost nothing. William Hootkins was 28 when he played Red 6, better known to fans as Porkins, born in 1948 in Texas. He later appeared in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Batman, and Flash Gordon, building a loyal following through unforgettable supporting roles. He died in 2005 at age 57 after a battle with pancreatic cancer. Hootkins made a pilot with almost no screen time feel like someone you actually knew, and that is exactly why fans never let him go. Number 18, we have a gritty, battle-worn commander who somehow made every single order sound calm, even while the whole squad was falling apart around him. Angus McInnes was 29 when he played Gold Leader, born in 1947 in Canada. He built a long career playing tough supporting roles in films like Witness, Hellboy, and Captain Phillips, and his Gold Leader footage later reconnected him with a new generation through Rogue One. He died in 2024 at age 77, with the cause not made public. McInnes made Gold Leader feel like a real veteran, and that steady voice under pressure is part of why the final attack feels so tense even now. Number 19, we have one of the only Imperial officers who actually seemed to understand how dangerous the rebellion truly was. Serious, cautious, and surrounded by overconfident men, he stood out just by being smart. Don Henderson was 45 when he played General Taggy, born in 1931 in London. He worked steadily across British television for decades, becoming known for roles in Strangers and Bullman. He died in 1997 at age 65, with the cause not widely reported. Henderson made the Empire feel less like cartoon villains and more like a room full of real fear and dangerous overconfidence. Number 20, we have the man behind the most quoted insult in the entire film, and he only needed one scene to earn it. Sharp, smug, and dangerously overconfident, he mocked the wrong man at exactly the wrong time. Richard Leparmentier was 30 when he played General Mahdi, born in 1946 in Pennsylvania. He continued acting and writing in Britain, appearing in Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Superman 2. He died in 2013 at age 66, with the cause not widely reported. Leparmentier played arrogance so well that Vader choking him out became one of the most satisfying moments in the whole saga. Number 21, we have a stern officer standing guard in one of the most quietly menacing places in the entire film. Clipped, cold, and fully locked into procedure, he added one more layer to a system built on control. Malcolm Tierney was 39 when he played Lieutenant Shan Chieldson, born in 1938 in England. He built a strong career, often playing villains and authority figures, in shows like Brookside and Braveheart. He died in 2014 at age 75, with the cause not widely reported. Tierney barely needed dialogue to make you feel exactly how cold and mechanical the Empire really was. Number 22, we have the boy who started out staring at two setting suns, wishing his life was bigger than it was. Restless, hopeful, and completely unprepared for what was coming, he became the heart of the whole saga. Mark Hamill was 25 when he played Luke Skywalker, born in 1951 in California. He kept returning to the role for decades while also becoming one of the most respected voice actors in animation, especially as the Joker. He turned 75 in 2026 and is still working in film, television, and voice roles. Hamill made Luke feel real because he let him be scared before he let him be brave. And honestly, you probably felt exactly like him the first time you watched this. And finally, number 23, we have a 20-year-old who walked onto set and refused to let anyone treat her like a damsel. Fierce, sharp-tongued, and already leading a rebellion like she had done it her whole life, she changed what a princess in a movie could be. Carrie Fisher was 20 when she played Princess Leia Organa, born in 1956 in California. She went on to become a best-selling author, a sharp and honest voice in Hollywood, and a beloved mental health advocate, all while returning to Leia decades later for a whole new generation. She died in 2016 at age 60, with sleep apnea cited as a major factor. Fisher made Leia someone who did not need saving. She needed a blaster and enough patience to deal with everyone around her, and that is exactly why she still feels ahead of her time. If this brought back some memories, subscribe, because we drop stories just like this every 2 days, and share this with the one friend who still quotes this movie word for word. Here is the part that never stops hitting hard. Out of this entire crew, more than half of them are gone now, and yet somehow, on screen, every single one of them is still 20-something years old forever.